In the name of logic that has lit our insights and has grown up in our hearts, this is our second meeting to discuss another interesting verse from the Quran. In fact, day in, day out, we hear about the scientific miracles and precision of the Quran. Not only, but we do read the thousands of articles written by Muslim scholars about its superiority and uniqueness in all fields, economically, scientifically, morally. And they brought forth in order to make those innocent people believe in this religion. For these and those I present a verse quoted from the Quran, chapter of Carol, verse 101, to hit all their sayings and lies, where God of Islam says, "To him is due the primal origin of the heavens and the earth. How can he have a son when he has no companion, a girlfriend?" And the verse goes on, "He created all things, and he had full knowledge of all things." Now someone just would ask, oh, in these few words you guys just hit all these things, and I say, just wait a minute. Let's examine the previous verse closely. On the scientific side, scientifically, the verse denies any kind of reproduction until or unless it be within a sexual relationship, as if this process of reproduction cannot be done until you have a male and female to produce an offspring, and as if the writer of the Quran didn't know that a reproduction process doesn't require a female and male for this process, because he makes it just a necessary condition for reproduction. And here he puts himself in a big quandary, because this is a completely just incorrect scientifically. There are thousands of species that reproduce asexually, and that's just what we call in science asexual reproduction. It's the process by which an organism creates a genetically similar or identical copy of itself without the contribution of genetic material from another individual. Just like bacteria, these organisms often don't possess different sexes, and they are just capable of splitting themselves into two or more individuals. In fact, Muhammad again drops his human experience in understanding things and drops it upon God. And if this God who claimed, Muhammad claimed, has neither a gender nor a shape or form nor even a body, and everything you can imagine is not him, so I wonder just why then he suggests the need for a female to have a child. Secondly, we're talking about the literary side. There is a miserable fall in the use of meanings. If where is the need for someone who is just, we're talking about God, capable just of to create everything, to have a girlfriend when he just wants to just one son? It's really a clear contradiction indeed. He was able to create a girlfriend or companion, whatever you call, if he just wanted, but by saying this word be, do we say that God is so powerful and able, in fact, to do everything? We say that the subject of my objection here lies in that is there an inherence among the two? Does that mean that it is a necessary condition for God, whom no one just like him, and able to do everything, as you say, Muslims, to have a girlfriend when he wants to have a son? Well, let's examine, or let's have another look at the previous verse. To him is due the primal origin of the heavens and the earth. How can he have a son when he hath no consort, no girlfriend? He created all things, and he hath full knowledge of all things. Well, God has no son because he has no girlfriend. He puts a cause and effect rule for us to conclude that he has no son because simply he doesn't have a girlfriend. It's a nonsense and wrong rule indeed. A reproduction process doesn't necessarily require both a female and male for breeding or giving birth. Muhammad thinks that there's an urgent need between the two, since he makes the process of reproduction or breeding impossible without a female and male having sex together. And here he makes us understand that God, which is so powerful, who is able to do everything, objects of not having a son, as Christians claim, because simply he doesn't have a girlfriend. Strange. Queer. That's really weird. Since you Muslims say that God has no gender, then he who doesn't have a gender doesn't need to have a girlfriend to have a son. There's no relation between the two, because this God who has no gender, as you claim, can have a son, can create a son without just being in a sexual relationship with a female. Thirdly, he contradicts himself as usual with the most basic facts that are given in the same Quran, in the same book. The same God created Adam from dust, without a girlfriend, without sex. He also, the same God created Jesus Christ in the Quran, based on the Quran, without the owner, without just Mary, the mother of Jesus, having sex with a man. And he comes just using the human logic to deny just having a son because he doesn't have a girlfriend. For he uses the human logic, I'm telling you, to escape from this quandary. For he, on the contrary, he puts himself in a more complicated predicament, the issue of having a child, and hits the depth of the previous myth about Jesus and Adam, to escape from the accusation of having a son. He shows himself to be a man, and a man needs a female to give birth, to have a child. And since he doesn't have a female, then you have to conclude that, well, how can you say, you infidels, you ninnies, you nitwits, how can you say about him, or about this God, that he has a son? Alright, we'll accept that. We'll accept your logic, with all mistakes you have. Let me just follow your naive logic in that you have no son because you don't have a girlfriend, and say as we atheists say about Jesus, how for this Jesus to be born of Mary when she didn't have a boyfriend? I deal with you with this God of Islam with the same way, with the same logic he followed. In response to the violators, just as God himself has denied the existence of his son under the pretext of the absence of the female, I deny the birth of Jesus from from his mother Mary under the same pretext of the absence of the man. And here God slays his lies and his myths about Jesus with his own knife. Finally, talking about the moral side, morally God is masculine here. Otherwise he wouldn't just need a female for having a son. To have a son, he wouldn't just need a female. And I ask here, why superiority in the masculinity over femininity all the time? Why God never just mentioned the role of the female, and just he needs to have a child? As if the female just on the godly level was only created for sex and reproduction. He could use a neutral or a biased term to avoid this discrimination in gender, but his need for the female to have a son illustrates his masculinity. I would like to thank you for listening, and I hope to see you in the next